In Psalm 139, while beholding the endless knowledge and presence of God, David makes a proclamation. He says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful for me." And if you're reading the psalm line by line, it's almost like David has stopped in his train of thought. He just can't help himself. The very idea that David, in all of his inadequacy, is known by the Lord, and that the Lord's presence, the Spirit of the living God, goes with him wherever he goes, leaves him awestruck, completely overwhelmed by the knowledge that God can be so transcendent and so immanent, so vast and so present and personal. And David makes no attempt to understand how this can be so, because quite frankly, such attempts would be fruitless endeavors. No, David responds the only way appropriate: worship. In the opening chapters of the letter to the Hebrews, we are left similarly awestruck. In the New Testament, Hebrews 1 through 2 fits right in with the likes of John chapter 1 and Philippians 2 and Colossians 1, painting a portrait of Jesus with transfiguration colors, as it were, leaving him shining like the sun before us. Of Jesus, the authors of Hebrews says, "He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power." There's the transcendence, the vastness. Jesus Christ, so far beyond the realm of our comprehension, the one crowned with glory and honor, the author says. And so as we continue, we are left asking, crowned with glory and honor, how? Crowned with glory and honor, the author says, because of the suffering of death. Here now is our immanence, the personal, that the one whose nature is the exact same as the Father's took on our nature, the nature of flesh and blood, and ultimately death, so that, the author says, through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. Now, he continues, because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. When I read these words in my personal Bible reading, which is what these reflections are generally based on, I was brought to tears. I, like many Christians who've read this passage before me, was dumbfounded by the self-giving love of God and his Son. And the words that my heart offered in prayer were the exact same words David uses in 139. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. Jesus Christ, who shares the likeness of God, was born in the likeness of humanity. And I think we often get so caught up in trying to explain these great mysteries, the mystery of the incarnation or of the hypostatic union, which means the two natures of Christ, or atonement theories, and we forget in the middle of all that explanation and understanding that the proper first response is worship. Before the coming of Jesus Christ is a doctrine, a subject of a research paper or of a Sunday school class, or a theory. It is an incomprehensible revelation to the world at large and to my life, the only appropriate response to which is praise and adoration. And from that worship comes relationship. Praise and adoration leaves David wanting more. The bookends of Psalm 39 are really telling, the first verse and the last verse. David begins the psalm, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me." And after pondering the depth of God's knowledge and his presence, David implores God in conclusion, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." To be known by God is a delicacy that never loses his flavor. And David may not be able to explain how the chef made the dish, so to speak, but he wants plenty more where that came from. He wants to continue being known by God as he is led, he says, in the way everlasting. Now that way everlasting has a face, the face of Jesus Christ, who is himself the way, God has revealed himself in Jesus. The transcendent has become the immanent. Such knowledge for me, as I'm sure it is for you, is far outside of our power to comprehend, but it is well within our power to worship. And as we worship, we proceed along the way everlasting, anticipating a time together when the measure of which we have been known will at last be matched by the measure of which we know.